Hey, what is up? My name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. The temperature dropped below 70 degrees for the first time last week, which means that probably every single video I post for the next 3 months will have the word fall in the title. Yes, I am one of those people. I just absolutely love fall. Fall clothes, fall makeup. I love when the leaves get all pretty. Even in New York, it's so beautiful. So to kick off this fall season of 2018, I'm going to be sharing with you my top eyeshadow palettes for fall. I have something in here for almost every budget, unless your budget is $200, in which case go buy one of the Anastasia palettes and let me know how you like it, because I am just not there in life yet, okay? And of course, this video is by no means saying that these are the only palettes or the only colors that you can use for your makeup in fall. These are just the palettes that I find myself leaning towards for this fall season. If you're interested in the makeup look that I have on my face today, that will be going up on Wednesday. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you are excited about fall, I am, if you couldn't tell. Let's get started. I'm going to start with the most expensive palette that I'm going to talk about and move my way towards the least expensive palette. Just seems to make sense to me. So the first palette that I'm going to talk about is the Tarte Pro Amazonian Clay eyeshadow palette. This is the newest to me eyeshadow palette that I'm going to talk about today. My mom actually gifted me this for my birthday, but I can just tell that I will be using this all fall long. I'm definitely going to bring this when I go home for the holidays. I think that this is an awesome travel palette. So this retails for $49. You can get it at Sephora or Ulta. It has 16 mattes and 4 shimmers, and it just has a nice range of colors in here. If you're someone who loves more neutral colors, you have your more warm-toned orangey brown shades, you have your mauves and your plums, you have your berry tones, and then you just have your plain old neutral browns down here as well. This is probably my #1 palette recommendation for beginners in this video. I just find that the formula of these is really nice. It's not overly pigmented to where you're just getting a little bit on your brush and suddenly you have more eyeshadow on your eyes and you can work with. It's very buildable. They blend super easy, and I just find that this color scheme is awesome. It's neutral enough that if you're someone who likes to play it safe with your eyeshadow looks, you're going to feel very comfortable using almost every color in this palette, but it has just enough of those little pops of color, like here, this little blue brown shimmer shade, that you're not gonna get bored playing with this palette. And another bonus is that this palette just smells so amazing. I don't know what it is that Tarte puts in their powder products, but I find that every single one I have just smells so good. Not in a too-faced, overwhelming way, but just very subtle when you just put it up to your nose. Cons that I will talk about for this palette: it sort of has more light matte shades than are necessary. Like, you have these two and you have these two, and I feel like only one of each is necessary. I know for a lot of people, they get really sick of having more ashy matte tone shades in there. I'll personally probably use all of these, but that might be something that you don't like. And then there are only 4 shimmers in here, so if you're someone who really loves shimmers, this might not be the best palette for you, but I will say that the shimmer formula is absolutely amazing, and I am very picky about my shimmers. That is the Tarte Pro palette, my first recommendation. The next palette I'm going to talk about, I feel like gets mentioned in every single fall makeup video, and that is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. I feel like at this point this is just considered a classic eyeshadow palette, much like the Urban Decay Naked collection. So this is actually what I used on my eyes in the look that I've got going on today. This retails for $42. You can get it from Ulta, Sephora, a lot of department stores. This has 14 shadows, 3 are shimmery, and the remaining ones are matte. So I would recommend this palette if you don't own it already. I feel like literally everyone owns this palette. I'd recommend it for someone who is getting sick of just plain old neutral looks, but you're not wanting to jump into just a flat out colorful eyeshadow palette. These are very safe, colorful colors, if that makes sense. Did that sentence make sense? Probably not. This palette would not be for someone who loves strictly neutral looks. I think there are just too many brighter reds, pinks, oranges in here that if you only like doing neutral looks, you're not gonna have a lot of fun with this palette. And it's definitely not for someone that loves cool tones. As you can see, this is a super, super warm toned palette, but I just consider these colors to be classic fall. Like this, when I think of fall eyeshadow, I think first of this palette. The cons of this palette, I wouldn't recommend it for ultra beginners. I do find that the formula is very, very powdery and pigmented, that sometimes you can just end up with a lot of eyeshadow on your eyes that's difficult to work with. And there are only 3 shimmers in here, and I don't really love Anastasia's shimmer formula. Back when I only had this in like one other palette, I worked with them, but now I most often will reach into another palette if I'm using these mattes and I want to pop a shimmer onto the lid. But this is just such a classic eyeshadow palette. I feel like every intense makeup lover has this in their collection, and it's for good reason. It's incredible, it's beautiful. I love it so much. The next palette I'm going to talk about is leaning towards more affordable palettes, and that is the BH Cosmetics Carly Bybel Deluxe palette. So this palette actually was discontinued. I don't know why in their right minds BH Cosmetics would discontinue this palette, because it's amazing and it's definitely a bestseller of theirs. But it is still available on Ulta's website as we speak, and it retails for $22.50 on Ulta's website. So this has 15 eyeshadows and 6 highlighters in it. There are 7 shimmer shadows and 8 matte shadows, and I think that this just has such a great mix of color. You have your oranges, you have your more mauves and your berry tones again, and you have some more cool tone and neutral browns down here. It's very, very versatile. I think this is also a great affordable option for a beginner who's really trying to get a lot of shades in their collection. The formula in these is seriously amazing. Like, I have no complaints about the formula. I think like maybe like 1 or 2 of the shimmer shades aren't as vibrant as the others, but they're still great. And the highlighter formula, like as you can see, I love this highlighter. This is just my favorite highlighter formula out of anything, high-end or not. I love it so much. The only cons of this are that it has been discontinued, so if you pick it up and you do end up really loving it, you won't be able to repurchase it. I know I'll definitely be sad when this one reaches its end. And it's a very, very big palette. This one's really not optimal for travel. Like, it barely fits in my makeup bag, and I have a rather large makeup bag. And the colors don't necessarily go super deep. So if you're someone who really, really loves to do like deep smoky eyes, like these are the deepest colors that you're gonna get, and they don't really show up that dark on the eye. So those are the 2 sort of possible cons of this palette. But this is awesome. Again, BH Cosmetics, why would you discontinue this? It's amazing. The next palette that I'm going to talk about has a very similar color scheme to the BH Cosmetics Carly Bybel palette, and that is the Colourpop You Had Me at Hello palette. So this is one of their more expensive palettes. It's $18 because they have a mirror in here. Everyone lost their mind over the fact that Colourpop never had mirrors in here. And as you can see, the colors are relatively similar to the Carly Bybel Deluxe palette. So in here you have 6 mattes and 6 shimmers. It's sort of a more cool toned palette, but you do have these little pops of more warm colors in here as well. This is great if you're someone who loves purple and mauve toned eyeshadow. This palette is awesome for you. My go-to purple eyeshadow look, I always use this shade, shade and this shade, and it just looks absolutely incredible. This might be my favorite palette from Colourpop. It's always a toss-up between this and the I Think I Love You palette, but I really love this palette. The drawbacks of this palette are that the shimmers do sometimes have quite a bit of fallout, but the payoff of them is really awesome, so it just sort of depends on if you think it's worth it or not. And then this can only be bought on Colourpop's website. As of now, I don't know if it'll be coming to Ulta or not, but I know that's sometimes annoying for some people when you can only get it on an online retailer. But I love this little palette. I love Colourpop's palettes in general. And in fact, the next palette that I'm going to talk about is also a Colourpop palette. So this is the Colourpop Yes Please palette. This is actually Colourpop's first ever eyeshadow palette, and I didn't get it till way after it came out. But this one retails for $16 and you get 4 shimmers and 8 mattes. This is super warm tone. These are what I would consider to be true fall colors. Like, they just look like leaves in fall. You have like your pumpkin color, your squash colors, all of that are going on in here. This is great for bright, true fall colored eyeshadow looks. If you're someone who loves more colorful eyeshadows, this would probably be a great one for you to use in the fall, because you can definitely get some very bold and vibrant looks out of this, as well as a few more neutral looks as well. The cons of this one, I would say, are that a lot of people tend to not like yellow and red eyeshadow because they feel that it can make them look sickly. I'm personally not one of those people, but if you are, then obviously this palette is not a good choice for your collection. And then there's no just flat out neutral shimmer shade in here, which I don't necessarily mind because I obviously have other ones in my collection. But if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of shadows and you're trying to build up your collection and you want some more neutral shimmer shades, all of the ones in here are definitely more colorful, as you can see. But they're still gorgeous. There's a reason this palette gets so much love. It's super awesome. And yeah, I think it's a gorgeous, bold, vibrant choice for fall. The next palette is the Makeup Revolution Reloaded palette. So I don't necessarily think that this exact palette is great for fall. There are a few cute fall tones in here, like this red and this deeper red shimmer, but most of these colors more scream spring and summer to me personally. I'm just mentioning this because these palettes, all the palettes from this line, are $7, and they have 2 really awesome dupes in the collection. There is Division, which is a subculture dupe, and Vitality, which is a modern renaissance dupe, and I personally don't have either of those, but I've heard that they're amazing, and I absolutely love the formula of these. So I think that those are 2 really awesome budget buys for fall eyeshadow. I just love, like, I can't get over that this is only $7, and if the other 2 really are as good as this one, I can't believe that those are $7 either. You get a lot of shadow in here, a lot of different colors, and it's just super awesome. And if you're in the UK, I know a lot of times people who are in the UK have trouble getting their hands on makeup that's made over here. Makeup Revolution is actually from the UK, so these are ones where you'll be able to get your hands on them very easily. I love Makeup Revolution. I think they're just all around an awesome brand. And yeah, these palettes are the bomb.com. Last and least expensive is the Wet n Wild Color Icon palette. So I have the Nude Awakening palette. I think that the colors in here are great, cool toned fall colors. They're very dark, smoky. You have your little burgundy pop in there. Wet n Wild also has a modern renaissance dupe called Rosé in the Air. And then the Comfort Zone palette I feel is also great for fall. There's a lot of great green tones in there. The only one from this collection that I feel like wouldn't be the best for fall is the Not a Basic Peach palette. That just hits me as more of a spring palette. I just always think of peachy tones as being spring colors. So these retail for $5, so they're super cheap for an eyeshadow palette. You can get them anywhere that you can get Wet n Wild. You can get them at Ulta, Target, most drugstores. The con of this palette is just the shimmer formula is definitely not the best, and it's honestly just not my favorite formula in general. I do prefer the Makeup Revolution formula to this formula, but Makeup Revolution is not as easy to get your hands on in the United States. Like, you can only get it at Ulta in the United States, and you might have to order it online, so that just like you factor in shipping and everything, and it's just slightly less accessible. These aren't bad, like they're better than some high-end palettes that I've tried. It's just that I don't reach for this palette as much as opposed to others that have similar colors. I just did want to throw this in here because it is super accessible. It's completely workable. It looks great on the eyes. So those are all of the palettes. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that if you're looking to buy a new palette for fall, you got some ideas within your price range, or that maybe this video inspired you to bring a palette out of your collection to use for this fall. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite fall eyeshadow palette is. Definitely don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys would like to see me do more videos like this, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.